All right, so let's get started. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny Simon, and I am a mental health therapist. I've been in practice for 20 years, and today's talk is called Embrace Uncertainty. And I thought we should really start today with a quote from Rumi, and I really like this quote. He says, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side you're used to is better than the one to come?" So I thought that was a really appropriate slide for starting out our embracing uncertainty today. So I advertised today's talk as being a spotlight. And I wrote, what if we saw 2020 as the great spotlight? The issues that were hiding or tolerated are now exposed in our relationships, our employment, our culture, our politics, and our own mental health. And what if we don't like what we see in the spotlight? What are we supposed to do? So that's what today's talk is going to cover. So today we are going to go on a magical hero's journey. That's what we are doing today. We are going to decode our lives as if we were on a hero's journey. And so if you accept this challenge, here's where we are going. We're going to take inventory, and we're not going to take inventory in the normal, boring way that you're used to kind of taking inventory, because of course this is a Jenny talk, so it's going to be flipped a little. We're going to figure out where our mental health lies. We're going to talk about what we need to let go of, what's undone, what's unfinished, what's unresolved. We're going to turn toward all that, like research our mind. And then we're going to talk about what do we need to invest in? What do we need to express? How do we know what to express? So buckle your seatbelt, because we're going on a hero's journey, and I'm excited. So what is a hero's journey? I recently heard Michael Meade talk, and he did a discussion about how we are all, as a collective society, experiencing a rite of passage. So a rite of passage can be defined as a walkabout, 40 days in the desert, a vision quest, a ceremony, initiation, ritual, outward bound, a pilgrimage, or the hero's journey. And for today, our collective rite of passage is going to be the hero's journey. Michael Meade went down a little bit further, and he condensed the hero's journey into just 4 steps. And you're going to be amazed to find out that we have already completed 2 out of the 4 steps. So the first step for the hero's journey is we have to be separated from others and the known. I think we're there. I think we've been separated. And second, we have to face a challenge. So I think we've faced a couple challenges. So I think we're there. And then the third, there's an awakening of the soul, or there's a deeper self that arises. And we're going to talk about how that's going to happen. And then fourth, we're going to return to the community as a changed person. So that's where we're going. We're going on the journey. Hopefully you want to go. So let's take an example from the classics. Let's use Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings, because why not? So Frodo went on a hero's journey, and pre his hero's journey, he was like an ordinary hobbit. He was just like a regular hobbit, hobbiting around. He was very innocent. He was very average. He was just kind of a normal, regular person. And so what happens is Frodo gets a ring from his uncle, and then this wizard shows up and says, you have to get rid of this ring. You got to get out of here. The Shire's in trouble. Run away with the ring. And so basically, Frodo has to leave his house, and he doesn't really want to. He's like, no, I don't want to leave the Shire. And the wizard's like, you have to go, you have to go. So Frodo goes on all these adventures. He's very reluctant as a hero, and he makes very questionable choices. In fact, as things happen to him on the journey, he is kind of annoying, like, to be honest. He's very whiny, and he doesn't really want to be on this journey. And he's challenged by his addiction to the ring, and he goes to the underworld, and he faces all these challenges and tests, and he deals with enemies like trolls and orcs and Gollum and spiders. He never kills anyone, which is really good. And then at a turning point, he has to do an ultimate test, which is his awakening of the soul. And at Mount Doom, which we should call 2020 for our purposes, he tries to renounce his addiction, and he has to throw his ring into the fire to destroy it. And he can't. he can't, he's weak. He's like an average human, right? This isn't a superhero. This is just a regular old hobbit. So he can't throw away his ring. And so luckily Gollum helps him and his addiction is gone. And his struggle was super real and we saw it. We saw his agony around, I don't want to let go of this addiction. And then when he returns after he destroys the ring, he's a completely changed person. So that's step 4 of the hero's journey. At the end of the trilogy, he's a different person than he was at the beginning. He's no longer innocent, and the Shire is not the same. And he loves the Shire. In fact, it was what helped him get through his journey, but he's different. And so he leaves at the end of the story. So that's just an example of classic literature. Hopefully we've all had some contact with the Lord of the Rings, but Frodo's just a regular guy. He's a really kind of annoying guy, but you know, he's just regular and he doesn't want to go on this hero's journey. And I'm sure all of us feel exactly the same. We don't want to go on this hero's journey, but it's kind of been forced upon us. So the first step for us on this hero's journey is to separate from others and to separate from the known. And we have already done that. We have been shut down since March 2020, sheltering in place with a curfew, with quarantine, working from home, school from home, and we don't know anything right now. We are completely in the dark. We are completely separated from facts and reality and life, and we don't know what the end of this is going to look like. And so we've already hit our first step of the hero's journey. We have separated from the known and gone into basically our homes. And then the second step is challenge. And I think clearly we're here. I don't think I need to define challenge for anyone. Right now, we are all in challenge. We've lost our freedom. We've lost, opportunities to socialize at work and with our friends and family. We are experiencing social isolation, economic challenges, health challenges, mental health challenges, political challenges, racial challenges. We are in the height right now of challenge. So if you're following along on this journey, you've already done the top 2 parts, right? You had to leave the comfort of your known, you had to separate, and then you were forced to deal with all this challenge that you didn't want to. There are incredible shifts that are happening on this planet, and the spotlight is getting brighter and brighter. And 2020 has basically been a light that has illuminated for us a profound request for us to become more informed than we've ever been before. There is a spotlight on greed and corruption and inconsistency and discontent and poverty and injustice and power imbalances and racism and colonialism and addiction and violence and climate crisis, and you name it. It just keeps building. And so as this spotlight is shining down on 2020, anything that was hidden is now in full view. And if we were frustrated with anything prior to COVID-19, it is more frustrating now than we can possibly imagine. Everything right now is in our faces. And so this is the challenge. We are exactly like Frodo. We are here facing kind of a fight with impossible odds. And we are just regular, ordinary humans who did not want this challenge. We did not ask to go on a hero's journey, and yet here we are. So the third step, if we choose to engage it, is really what we're going to talk about in this talk. This is an awakening of the soul, or a moving into the deep self. And this happens in all great hero stories, right? We turn inside. Maybe we don't know what to do. Maybe we feel frustrated, and so we turn in. And so we are going to do that in this talk. We're going to take inventory, we're going to turn toward it, and we're going to be curious. So let's start out by taking inventory. So where are we? I would say let's use a modified Jenny's version of the Wheel of Life. And the way that I want you to do this is you're not turning it in. This isn't for your boss. This is for you. So be really honest. So if I say, how are you doing? I mean, for real, like answer this for real. So you can grab a piece of paper, or you can download the handout that I put on Zoom. And let me just put it back in the chat just to make sure that you all get a copy of it. So just take a few seconds. We're going to take maybe like 5 minutes or so, maybe a little less. And so go ahead and download the handout. And all I want you to do is I want you to take these 10 categories, and I want you to rate them on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is I feel terrible, and 10 is I'm awesome in this area. And I want you to be really honest. So just take a few seconds. And like I said, if you have a piece of paper or you want to use your computer, just number them from 1 to 10. And these are the categories for today. And if you have all zeros or all ones or all threes, it's okay. I have a pretty close to that as well, but I have a couple categories that are super high. So don't judge as you're doing this, just be real, because that's the first step, right? We can't change anything until we look at it. So let's take just a few minutes and just jot down our ratings of each one of these scales. And then we're gonna turn it upside down. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking for a few seconds. And if people could mute themselves, that'd be great. Just a really quick reminder. You could also screenshot this page if you wanted, and then just like use it if you're using your computer. Whatever makes it easy. And again, don't put too much pressure on yourself to, come up with the exact right answer. Just rate yourself, kind of how are you feeling today? Just how is this category feeling? Does it feel terrible? Give yourself a 0. Does it feel 10? I feel awesome about this category. I'm doing great in this category. Don't worry too much. Think less about it. Kind of do it quicker, if that helps. Okay, let's take like one more minute. I know I'm putting like high pressure. Let's just take one more minute because the next part is much more important than this part. So take like one more minute and make sure you have a score in each one of the 10 categories. And again, don't overthink it. There's no right or wrong answer. You're not turning this in. Just kind of rate yourself. I feel good or I feel kind of cruddy. All right, so let's go to the next slide. And okay. So what I want you to think about is in 2020, we're going to modify this experience. I want you to be very selective about how you're spending your energy. So I am not looking at this like a life coach. I have no aspirations for you to become a perfectly balanced human. Instead, I want us to be survivors on the hero's journey. I want us to get out of here alive. And so in order for us to be survivors on this hero's journey, this is the long haul. This is endurance. We are in the challenge phase. And so we have to let go of expectations that all of these little pieces of the pie are perfect. Your mental health is the most important piece. So we don't need to balance the wheel. We just need to look at one slice. So take the pressure off. You could have 9 slices that all have a score of under 3, which I do. So that's okay. Don't worry about it. So here's my little example of mine. And as you can see, I have a 10 in 2 categories. I have a 10 in life, purpose, and spirituality, and I have a 10 in personal growth and learning. I've been really challenged this quarantine to kind of get my spirituality in order and to kind of learn. And so as a result, I put them at 10. Now, an area that I will highlight for you is health and fitness, which is 1. I'm giving myself a 1 for health and fitness. And so the next step that we're going to do, and we're going to come back to this slide, but the next step that we're going to do is, where does your mental health live? So your mental health is how you feel, your mood, and your overall, how do you feel about yourself? Mental health is a daily average. So if your best friend called you and they said, "How are you doing?" What would you say? And so we all have different priorities about how our mental health lives in certain categories. And so I want you to figure out which category your mental health lives in. So let's go back to mine. So in my world, my mental health lives in 2 categories: my spirituality and my growth. So if I'm learning and I feel connected to spirit, woohoo, my mental health is awesome. If my mental health was attached to health and fitness, I would be in trouble right now because I am at a 1 in that category. But the good news is my mental health is not connected to my physical health. So if I never do another jumping jack ever again, I'm still going to thrive. Woo! So I want you to take a few seconds, go back to your list of 10 items. You can use this chart again, or you can just use a piece of paper. And I want you to circle, highlight, draw an arrow. Where does your mental health live? And get real. Like, some people who I've done this exercise with, they tell me a fake one, like, "Oh, I think my mental health lives in creativity." I'm like, no, it doesn't. It lives in your job category, because when you make money, you're happy. And when you don't make money, you're grouchy. So, really hone in on what category am I happy in? And everybody is different. So if you can't figure it out, go backwards. So like, when you're having a bad day, ask yourself, what is out of alignment right now out of these 10 categories? And so I'm in a family of 3, and all 3 of us, our mental health is in different categories. For instance, my mental health lives in spirituality. So if I'm in tune, I feel good. And if I'm out of tune, I feel terrible. My sister's is in physical health. She works out, and that is very important to her. If she does not get her workout in, she is crabby and not okay. She is sad. And so getting a little workout every day, that helps keep her mental health stable. My brother is 100% in romantic relationships. When he's not in a romantic relationship, he is out of alignment. He feels terrible. Every day is terrible. You can't cheer him up. You could give him a pony and he wouldn't care. When he is in a relationship, he's calm, content, peaceful. So ask yourself, where does your mental health live? And I know this is kind of complicated. And some of you may be saying, I have 2. Well, that's fine. Pick the biggest one. So I'm going to give you another example. Let's use Frodo. So Frodo, his mental health is living in the Shire. Home is what makes him happy. Look at his little hobbit face. He's so happy in his Shire. So his mental health slice would be physical environment. And when he has to leave the Shire, his mental health is super crappy. And so as a result, he whines the entire trilogy. So we know that this is his slice because he talks about the Shire his entire adventure. And when he's in trouble, he thinks of the Shire. He wants to get back to the Shire. That's his motivation to keep going through his challenge. And so again, think about what slice are you in? Where is your mental health? I'm going to go back here to this. Now I'm going to open up the chat because I want to see if people have questions, because I know this is a very strange request that I'm asking of you. Can we all maybe be like, write me in the chat a little note, like, is this making sense that we're putting our mental health in one of these categories? You can do two, but try to pick one. Is this making sense on your hero's journey? Okay, good. People are saying, yes, it makes sense. Okay, good. Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay. Woohoo. All right, then let's move forward. Thank you everyone for your feedback. I appreciate that because I don't want to go forward if we're lost in the world. Okay. Yes. Okay, good. All right, sweet. All right. So whoa, we got ahead of ourselves. Yikes. Okay. So where do we need to work? So that's the question. The key, again, is not to be balanced in all 10 areas. The key is just to look at one slice. Remember, we are on a hero's journey. That's what we're trying to do, survive. So look at one slice. If your mental health lives in a slice where the score is high, woohoo, high five yourself. But if your mental health lives in a slice where the score is low, then that is where we need to work. So double check your work. Go, after this is over, go run this by a best friend or your partner. They will know. They can tell you what slice affects you the most. And so notice the score and circle it, kind of notice, where are you in your mental health right now? And so if your mental health is living in your romantic slice, but romance is at like a 0 or a 2 because we're in COVID and we can't really date, write yourself a note. This is where I need to work because this feels very unfulfilling right now. And by the way, don't compare yourself to anyone. You're not supposed to be in any one of the 10 categories. One of them is not better or more superior than the other. They're all equal, and everybody kind of has a different way of where their mental health lives. So be real. And I also want to put in there, I don't think that we can bypass this and say, well, at least I have a really great job. Well, at least I have my health. Nope, I don't think we can do that. Because if your mental health lies in the romance slice, and that's the piece that's really getting to you over COVID, let's just be real and honest and acknowledge that. So we don't need to make it any different than it is. Let's just get real. And we don't have to look at the other slices and say, well, I should be grateful because at least I have a roof over my head. No, that's nonsense. Look at the slice where your mental health lives and notice the score. And we need to focus your energy on only that one slice that is creating a mental health distress. So again, if your mental health slice is a 9 or a 10, woohoo, you're doing great. Keep it up. Wow, this is great. Keep nurturing this aspect of yourself because that's really what makes you feel fulfilled. That's what gives you peace. That's what has you having a happy day. So focus all of your attention right there. Now, if you're one of those folks where your mental health is kind of in the 0 to 3 area, we need to take the next step of the hero journey. Now, some of you might be saying, well, I'm like a 4 or a 5 or a 6. I'm kind of in the middle. Okay, well, let's see if there's some work that we can do to boost that up. We want to make your mental health slice as high as possible. So our next step is, if we don't like what we see in the spotlight, what do? That's what I ask in this talk. What are we supposed to do if I don't like what I see in the spotlight? And the answer is, we face it. And nobody wants to face it. But that's the hero's journey. We have to face it. We need to define it and we need to look at it. And I know it's ugly because I do therapy every day and people do not want to look at stuff that they do not want to look at. But that is really the next step of this journey, is to face what doesn't feel good. So I absolutely love this picture of this woman drinking wine. And I'm just going to say, I see you in your kitchen pantry eating Cheetos. Turn toward it. Some of you are sad and you need some nurturance. And we do not have to be okay to accept things as they are. So I just want to say that it doesn't, we don't have to be okay. We can still accept it. We can say, okay, this is where I am. So I can accept how I got where I am. I can accept my story as it is, and I can accept my wounds and trust that my wounds are going to lead towards wisdom. And I see you wanting to run away. And instead, I want you to look very gently and kindly at what is hard and what is hurting you. I'm going to give you a little personal story really quick. So my physical fitness is at a 1. I don't care about jumping jacks. I don't do them. But this week, my elbow wouldn't move or bend. And I thought, well, I probably shouldn't do like do-it-yourself chiropractics in my kitchen. So I probably need to call a specialist. So I went to go see a chiropractor, and it was really hard. I had to look at the fact that I haven't really moved in 7 months. I haven't really gotten up and done physical fitness. Even walking across campus, you know, gave me some kind of physical fitness. So it was a hard look, and it made me feel kind of, I don't know, I had a little bit of shame, or I had a little bit of guilt around it. And I just stopped and I kind of wrapped myself up and I said, it's okay, Jenny, you're on a hero's journey, you're surviving, and that hasn't been a priority right now. And so it's okay. You can add in a little tiny bit of physical fitness. So again, I want you to be really gentle with your discovery around this category. So turn toward it like a researcher would. Don't turn toward it like a really mean, like boot camp kind of person who's going to whip you into shape. Turn toward it like a researcher. And let's just accept everything that we see. I love this little creature that's holding. It's like all of you is welcome. Like your anger, your joy, your grief, your sadness, your shame, your everything. Everything is welcome. And so today I accept myself as I am, and I'm going to be curious, and I'm going to be kind, and I'm going to be honest. And that's hard. This is like, we're in the challenge, right? We're in the hero's challenge here. We're going to do the hard thing. So let's look at the slice that needs a little bit of help. And I would say most of us in the slice that needs a little bit of help, there's something that's kind of messed up in there, right? There's something that's undone. There's something that's unfinished. There's something that's unresolved. There's some trauma work we might have to do. We might have to make amends. We might have to do some closure work. We need to be honest. We need to tie up loose ends. We don't want to ignore red flags. We want to close some doors maybe that are still open. Maybe we have things that have been left unsaid. And maybe we need to fix things, and maybe we need to feel what's in there. And so take a few minutes and write it down. Look at the slice that's causing some havoc and write it down. And I wrote myself a note after I came home from the chiropractor, and I said, hey, Jenny, you only have one vehicle, and your spirit lives in it. So it's really great that you've been focused on spirituality, but your little flesh self that's walking around needs a little care. And so, I was like, you need to heal this. You need to fix this a little bit. You need to do more movement. And so I was really gentle. So just take a few seconds and kind of write down some notes to yourself around an area that might need some healing. I'm going to give you a couple examples just to make this really concrete. If your mental health lands in a romance slice, which a lot of my students, it does, and your romance slice is like at a 0 or 3 because we're in quarantine, and how do you date? Look at, do I have a relationship that needs repair? Do I have an old person in my life that I need to fix things with? Do I have a trauma that needs to be processed with a mental health provider? Do I have a rape or a sexual assault that's kind of hanging me up? Do I have someone that I need to make amends with because I was a big jerk? Do I need to close the door on a relationship that's kind of just taking up space? So maybe you're not going to go out and date. Maybe that's not the answer. Maybe the answer is we're going to fix what has a little bit of a healing component to it. If my mental health lands in career or work, and I'm in a low score at my work because I'm feeling kind of frustrated, you might want to ask yourself, what's my bigger goal for my career? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Do I need to begin a job search? How can I make my current career less painful? What kind of grievances can I let go of? Or maybe I just need to keep this job and I need to invest more time in my side hustle. So it's not always about like going to get the relationship or quitting your job. It's really about healing. If we go back to this previous slide, there's a lot of things that are kind of undone. They kind of clutter up our brain and our heart, and we kind of need to take the steps to kind of clear that out. So just take a few more seconds here. And again, this is the hard, this is like, you know, us facing the spider or us climbing the mountain. This is the hard part, because we have to really acknowledge we haven't been nice to ourselves, or we haven't been kind, or we've hurt people, or, you know, this is the hard part. Okay, so again, we're just going to write down what we need to do to improve that slice. Maybe we're turning anger into courage. Maybe we are turning anxiety into energy. That's my favorite activity to do because I have a lot of anxiety. So turning it into energy is super fun. Maybe we need to channel that energy and dial it down so we don't wield it like a weapon. Maybe I need to move my body every day for 15 minutes. That was mine. Maybe we need to apologize to someone, forgive ourselves, make a therapy appointment. I don't know what we need to do, but that's that. So I'm going to be quiet for like a minute because I keep talking. And again, I want to re-emphasize, you are not fixing 10 slices. That is not the quest. The hero's journey is to survive 2020. So we are only focusing on a main area that your mental health is associated with. And maybe you're just writing things that are going to strengthen your awesome mental health. And if that's the case, bravo, you know, invest in books or invest in cooking equipment or whatever is helping that category. And so again, this is just one category. Do not revamp 10 categories. That is too much in 2020. Too much. All right, so what have we learned? I know some of you are still working, but this might take longer than our talk. So what have we learned? We've learned that our whole world right now is on a journey, and the spotlight is focused on things that we've been hiding. And we have been asked to separate, and we have been challenged. And so can we use this as an opportunity to lean in and look at what needs to be healed in our lives? Not a huge overhaul, just one little section. And that one little section is directly linked to our mental health. So ask people around you for feedback. Where do you think my mental health lives? What slice do you think my mental health lives in? And then pick one item and just go about kind of building little step by step. How do I kind of bring some healing into this section? I will say that in order to change a culture, we need to start at the individual level. There are so many things that are completely out of control right now that we have absolutely no say. And so what can we change? We can change us. We can love ourselves. And that way, when we emerge out of this, we're a bigger, brighter, happier being. So let's move on to the fourth step, my favorite step of the hero's journey. So this part is finding your voice and sharing it when we come back together. So now that we've cleared out space so that we can hear, we're going to now return as a changed human being. And so what are you meant to share? Or what are you meant to do or give? And so this section, we are going to talk all about finding our inner voice, our inner wiser voice. And we're going to learn to express ourselves in this inner way. I'm going to give you 5 different ways to kind of get to this place. So this is when we all, you know, we've cleared out the muck. Now we can hear, our brain is open, our heart is open. And now what are we supposed to share? What are we supposed to give back? So we all get lit up when someone steps into their light. I know we all have friends that when they are bright and shiny, we want to be around them. We want to eat lunch with them. We want to connect with them because when they're in their light, we feel it too. When someone feels powerful and when someone feels their excitement, we all benefit from that. And so there's only one you. And you are unique and you have something special that only you can express. No one else can be you. And so we have this theme that we were kind of born with. It's our North Star and it governs our life. And we just need to remember it. And so this is what the best part of the hero's journey is. We've cleared out the muck. We've gone through the challenge. And what am I supposed to be expressing when we get out of this? And so how do I even know what I'm supposed to be expressing? And so the good news is your body is like a large antenna and it is always listening to what you want to do. It's like Siri or Alexa or Echo. It's picking it up, right? So your body wants to know, like, how are we going to express this? It's ready. And so you got to play with it. And we got to figure out where your true self is. And we've got to make a psychological shift from the thinking mind into the heart or into knowing. And so how do we listen? We can listen through journal or walking or praying or writing from an older, wiser self, or looking at our dream life and symbolic metaphor, or looking for messages or symbols. We can do lucid dreaming. We can do spiritual practices. We can do meditation. So we're going to talk about 5 right now. So I want you to know that our deeper self is non-fear-based. So I know we all have voices in our head that talk to us. Generally, they're anxiety voices. It's monkey minds. That's what they call it, right? But this is like a deeper self. So you can call it whatever you want. You can call it true self, your older self. You can call it your spirit, your soul, your inner guidance, your Buddha nature, your Atman, your gut, your God self, your angels, your guides, your truth. It doesn't matter what you call it, but it exists in all of us. And it's not outside. It's not something that's outside that we're reaching for. It's something that's within us. We have a deeper self that has not been damaged by life or by trauma. It's a golden center, and we have covered it with coats and fear and worry and anxiety. And all we have to do is we just have to take out those coats. This knowing self is always there. It never goes away. And so this is a very expanded, alive voice. And what I would say for you is that I have figured out who my voice is. It's the exact opposite of me, right? I'm kind of volcanic loudness, like blah, and my inner voice is quiet and soft. It's kind of amazing, like that I even have that voice anywhere in my psyche. So as you try these practices, I will give you a little forewarning. The messages that you get from your deeper, wiser, smarter self may be quick, or maybe they're slow. Mine are very slow. And I'm like, who are you? Like, Jenny's so fast and loud. Like, this inner Jenny self is kind of slow and soft. It could be quiet. You may just get a feeling or sensation. You might not actually get words. You might just get like a feeling. You might think you're making it all up. That's okay. You might just, I'm making all this up. That's okay. Just keep practicing. And don't expect like a vision or like a visitation or a magical download. Lots of people in the spiritual community talk about how they got a download. And, you know, I think that's an unrealistic expectation. That's not what we're going for here. So we're just going to try different ways to keep talking to ourselves and hearing ourselves. And the thing that I want you to know is this voice of yours that's going to come back to you is not anxious, and it's not fear-based, and it's not angry. So let's try some activities here. And again, this is going to be fast, but I'm going to share this video so you can always go back and pause. So the first one we're going to take from Chris Pine, because why not? I mean, Hollywood movie stars, they know stuff. So the first one is to go on a drive and talk to yourself. So you can pull over or you can drive, and you're going to talk it out, and you're going to ask questions, and you're going to process what happened in the day, and you're going to ask about your purpose. And if you feel weird talking into the car to no one, then talk into a recorder. Put a recorder on your phone and just talk out loud. And a good trick is before you get in the car, have a question in your mind that you want answered. Maybe you're trying to decide between this or that. and then see if you can get the answer when you get back home. You can also do this in the shower while washing dishes or doing laundry, because it's like if you ask the question before you start kind of a task, then you do the task, your brain's doing the task, then you come back to it. Sometimes that gives your inner self a chance to kind of answer you. And so, you know, doing something like driving or doing laundry, that might be the way. Chris says, I talk to myself, especially in the car. Okay, Chris. All right, second step. Connect after yoga or Tai Chi or working out. Yoga was actually designed to assist the meditative state. All of the poses that we do are literally to get in the state of meditation. So after your Shavasana or corpse pose, ask deep questions. That's exactly what it's supposed to be used for. So when you're in corpse pose, just like this lady is laying here, do that. Also, Tai Chi puts you in a really calm state and you're grounded. And when you're grounded with your thoughts, then that's when you get to ask bigger questions. Exercise also kind of helps turn your monkey mind off. So you are going to be kind of sweaty and hot. And so after you exercise, that might be a moment that you ask your deeper questions. What am I supposed to be expressing? What am I supposed to be talking about or doing or acting like when we get out of here? The third one is to engage in a written dialogue with your true voice. I do this almost every night because I do a gratitude journal. And so as part of my gratitude journal, I connect to my deeper, wiser self. So all you do, it's very easy. You just take out paper, you get quiet, and the quieter you are, the better you can hear. So you don't want to have music and dogs and all sorts of nonsense going on. And you just write out a conversation on paper. You put your name and then the true voice on each line. And it should kind of look like a script. So I gave you kind of an example on this slide. You can even use initials, but it kind of looks like a script. And don't worry if you feel silly or you think, oh, I'm making all this up. It's okay, just write. So it's like, you know, I would write, Jenny, hey, true voice, are you there? And then I would wait. And then the answer would be like, yes, I'm always here. And then I would say, are you real? And then the voice would say, I am right here. And then I would say, so should I do a talk about getting in touch with your true voice? And then I wait. And then the answer is, yes, this is the perfect time. So again, if this feels silly, then don't do this activity. Do one of the other ones. So I want to review really quickly. We got in a car and we talked to ourselves. We ask our true self after we did some physical exercise. We engaged in some kind of written back and forth with our inner guidance. We can also write a letter from our older, wiser self. I do this with a lot of clients. It really, really helps. They kind of fight me, but once they do it, they really are thankful that they did it. So if you're really struggling and having a hard time, have your older, wiser self write you a letter right now in this current moment. And usually your older, wiser self is kinder than you are and is softer and gentler and more beautiful and more nurturing. And so just allow yourself to express it as if you were talking to yourself, you know, from the future. Okay, and then let's talk about meditation really quick and we're almost done. A lot of you are probably saying, Jenny, what about meditation? I'm going to say meditation's great. There are 3 different types of meditation. I'm going to cover them in one sentence, which does not do justice to like a 10,000-year-old practice. But I'm just going to say there are some differences. And then there's a little warning. There's just a little warning. So the main type of practice is called Zen. And basically there are very strict rules in Zen. We sit with our legs crossed, our eyes are semi-open, we focus inward, we dismiss our thoughts, we think of nothing. There is a lot of practice involved. And we sit for long periods of time. Sometimes an hour and a half is the time that we would sit for Zen practice. It's kind of like the PhD of meditation. So if you're just starting, that's probably not our place to jump in. The next step is mindfulness. This is Vipassana. This is a very great way to come in. This is just being in the present moment, being aware that as I'm eating an English muffin, I notice that I'm eating the English muffin and I taste the peanut butter and I love the English muffin. So that 10 minutes later, I don't say, did I just eat an English muffin? I don't even know. I have to go to the garbage and look for evidence that I even ate an English muffin. So in mindfulness, we're just paying attention to the food in our mouth, where our tongue is, We're dropping our shoulders. Maybe we're feeling the back of a chair. We're enjoying our food. We're feeling like being held by the chair. We're just kind of noticing sounds in the room. So mindfulness is the easiest one. It's just kind of pausing and noticing what we're doing. And so that's the easiest way to kind of do a little meditation. And then the last one is transcendental meditation, or TM. Every teacher right now is hawking this. And basically what it is that they give you a mantra. And the mantra is used to settle your thoughts. So every single time you think, oh, I wonder if the mail came, you go back to the mantra. What should I eat for lunch? You go back to the mantra. When thoughts arise, you go back to the mantra. It's very gentle. It's only 20 minutes. There aren't any rules. You don't have to sit a special way. You just have to have a mantra that you repeat to yourself. If you don't want to go to a teacher, you don't have to. You can pick a mantra of anything that calms you. When I was a philosophy student, I used to say, there is no truth, because that calmed me. For some people, that would not work. But you pick something that's soothing to you if you don't have a mantra. I want to say really quickly that starting a new meditation is not necessarily recommended for people with unresolved trauma, severe anxiety, or psychiatric illness, because being alone with your thoughts can bring out some dark stuff. Like your brain might say, oh, good, you're quiet. Let me tell you all the things I haven't dealt with. And you might not have skills to cope with that. And there have been a lot of folks who I've worked with who have kind of had, I would say, panic distress after starting a meditation practice. So use some kind of a distraction technique maybe instead of meditation. If you stop all the distractions and get super quiet, like you go to a 12-day Zen retreat, you could have high anxiety, be in an emotional flooding state. You could even have psychosis. So that's my warning. Meditation is a tool to get into touch with our inner wiser self. But again, tread carefully in this journey. So my last thought on this topic of doing the hero's journey is that as this spotlight gets brighter, we are moving toward a critical mass. We are moving toward a tipping point. And I am very hopeful, because science has found that we only need 10% of the population to reach critical mass. So critical mass is the tipping point for change. And if 10% of the population embraces an idea, the idea will spread rapidly to the majority of the population. And so if 10% of the population decides right now that this is not Armageddon, this is not the end of the world, but this is a collective hero's journey designed to change individuals who thought they were broken, help them heal, and become passionate beings, then we're going to see the birth of a new humanity. We're going to have renewed collective mind. We're all going to have more open hearts. And so the answers are not outside of us. There is nothing that we're reaching for. Our inner voice is ours, and we don't have to do anything. We don't even have to read a book. We can literally just get in our car and connect to it. And so we need to get in there and listen to what is our inner voice telling us that we need to express right now. Clear out that old weird stuff that needs to be healed so that we can hear and listen. And so I have a challenge for all of you on the hero's journey. I want you to send me an email when you listen and you learn what your wiser self tells you that you need to express. So I'm giving you a little bit of accountability. I want you to send me an email and let me know what you have been asked to express. And I will be like, woo, your cheerleader on the side cheering you on. Also, if this talk was kind of not what you wanted because you really needed some stress management and some soothing and you didn't really want to talk about the hero's journey, I have some YouTube videos that I've been creating through the quarantine. And all you have to do is go to YouTube and type in one word, rethinking therapy, just one word. And then all the kind of stress management soothing videos will come up for you so that you don't have to look. All right.